Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Professionally Curious. My name is Joanna. I'm the co-founder of Soon, and here joined by a good friend.
Hi, I'm Yash. I've been in the Solana ecosystem for the last 4 years, and we have this project called SendAI where we are building the tooling layer for AI agents. Previously, we built also the Send ecosystem, which consisted of Send Arcade, which was the gaming arm, and then we also hosted like bunch of public goods in the Solana ecosystem, like Solana AI Hackathon, Solana Consumer Day, also launched Solana Agent Kit, and now we are building this AI agents protocol, which we'll be revealing in the upcoming months.
Thank you for that. So you have a very OG status within the Solana ecosystem. I think most people know you, but thank you for that intro. I wanted to maybe go back to your backstory, just to help us understand, how did you get into crypto? And then after you did that, right, how did you decide to go from hacking to research and building your gaming arm, Send Arcade, and now Send AI?
Yes, in crypto, I mostly started by doing research. I was earlier very much involved with Solana Foundation, was researching on the stable coins and real world assets. And then also worked with Super Team, where I just did general research on the Solana ecosystem. And that time, I used to also work with few ecosystem companies here and there. So I think I built most of my knowledge base by doing research in the Solana ecosystem. Yeah. When you are doing research, you also network with a lot of people because you have to talk to everyone to get their perspective. Mm-hmm. So I think that gave me a very solid foundation or base in the ecosystem, that I knew what are the missing gaps and what are the things which works, which doesn't work. That's how we first then SendCoin was kind of an accidental thing. We just launched a Twitter account, and in the following 10 days we launched a token. And that time launching a token wasn't that popular, because everyone was that time no one used to launch a project token on Dex or even Pump.fun and so on. So we did a fair launch at Meteora, and after that we were we have launched a token, now what's next? So we started by building a lot of Blink based games. So that time Solana Blinks was a thing where you could play a game inside the Twitter. So we launched a couple of games. Till now, on Solana Blinks, out of the top 10 Blinks which exist, the top 6 Blinks has been built by the Send ecosystem itself. We built a lot of Blinks like Rock, Paper, Scissors, then Chess, and then so on. So all of this went viral, and we built a lot of Blinks on Blinks, and that became, the gaming arm became Send Arcade, which is still running, and it has been fully profitable from day zero because every transaction there is revenue generating. And at the same time, during the last year of November, we launched SendAI. So SendAI first started as just a Solana AI Hackathon host, and during that time, we're building this toolkit for Hackathon participants. So we thought, okay, let's launch it. And then when we launched it, it became a thing because we named it Solana Agent Kit, and it was usually supported by Solana Foundation and all the ecosystem partners. So in Jupiter, Meteora, Radium, Orca, everyone was official contributors of that toolkit. So that became a huge thing, and till now, that has gathered more than 600 stars and 800 folks, and it's currently still used by more than 1,200 repos on GitHub. So it's completely open source, public good for the Solana ecosystem. So that's how SendAI was born, and now over the last few months we built out the whole infrastructure, and now we are getting up for the phase 2 of SendAI.
I mean, it's super impressive, right? To go from all these various research interests to actually launching a revenue product on each of these interests. So maybe let's go back to one of your early interests as well. And I also find it very cool that you're one of the first people that started to research about SVM. So tell us what was the trigger for that, and what did you learn during your research days about SVM?
I think back in 2023, I didn't used to like layer 2s a lot, to be honest, on Ethereum, but that was enough to get to nerd pill anyone. So I think I also got nerd sniped by all the layer 2s and everything happening on Ethereum. Then I realized, and that time I was also reading more about SVM, how it works, what's the Solana account model, and so on. So I realized that actually the SVM is also very good for building layer 2s or any sorts of even app chains. So my whole thesis that time was that Solana won't have a general purpose L2, and I think it still holds, there's no popular general purpose L2 on Solana, but there would be some app chains or basically I would say roll apps, that was a term back in 2023-24.
Right. Roll-ups, not.
So everyone was there would be specific L2s on Solana, and if you see right now also there's 2 popular popular role apps on Solana. One is Bullet and Bulk, like which is both are like pretty much highly anticipated. And the thing that was like Solana, like the Solana mainnet isn't scalable for every particular use case possible. On spot, like I think like no L2 or anything like can take away from Solana because it's hyper optimized for spot use case and it will continue to be more optimized for spot use case. But something like perps where you want 25 milliseconds or 30 milliseconds pre-confirmation times, I think that would be always constrained by physics on the Solana mainnet. So you would have like very co-located sequencer or centralized sequencer, and then you like submit the proof to Solana mainnet. So that was the whole thesis, that there would be like specific role apps getting developed on Solana, and that's what like got me interested to SVM, that there would be a lot of people who would be interested in the whole SVM ecosystem. And it's very natural also that any infra gets always higher valuation. So definitely there's an incentive for builders that, okay, if they launch a good SVM L1 and L2, they can launch at 500 million and 1 billion FDV. And we already saw more than like 1 billion plus FDV launches related to the SVM narrative. So it was very obvious that SVM would be the theme, and that's why like I decided that okay, like I should write one of the first articles. And that was like, it was like kind of criticized by some people as well, that Solana won't have layer 2s and all of that, but it was just that very obvious that there would be either they are successful or not, but there would be SVM layer 2s or anything related to the SVM.
Yeah. All right. So you were one of our earliest backers, as an angel. So really wanted to also hear from your perspective. Why did you choose to invest in Su?
Yeah. So for me, to be honest, it was all about just like backing good companies in the SVM ecosystem. And yeah, like I just wanted to also get exposure to the SVM ecosystem because that was one that I also believed in general, the SVM space. So yeah, for me it was also just getting exposure, and obviously I've known you for some times. Yeah, like I don't generally angel invest. Most of my angel investment are just with people whom I already know. So yeah, it was just a natural choice of that.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've been enjoying this relationship since then. I have like a formal reason to check in with you and giving you updates about the company, and we bounce off ideas of each other. So yeah, really been appreciating your advice. I really value your opinion, right? So from your perspective, what kind of applications would you build on the SVM infrastructure? And I do want to maybe like give the answer here. Already deployed, one of the applications that you worked on, Send Arcade onto the Su network. So huge props for that. Why did you decided to choose us to at the time to build the Send Arcade?
Yeah, so for Send Arcade, it was simply like most of the games were like a hybrid of on-chain and off-chain. So every time like you play a Send Arcade game, it was that the transaction layer is on-chain, but most of the states are off-chain. And we followed that architecture because putting state on-chain doesn't give like any strong edge for us, but transaction layer on-chain completely makes sense because every play there is a transaction and there's economic value to it. Mm-hmm. So for example, in rock paper scissors, you play the game and then you win or you lose. So for us, it was very clear that we wanted to leverage maximum number of SVM possible, and that's why like Send Arcade was deployed on all major SVM which has a thing. And we also like build our own ephemeral roll up using Magic Block. Mm-hmm. So for Soon, like it was all about like tapping a different community. For example, it was all about that we wanted to also tap BNB community and see how people work there. So I think it was all about tapping new markets and also just leveraging the newer chains because we were very much restricted to Solana or anything around the Solana ecosystem. So it helped us tap into a different community or ecosystem or BNB chain. So it was more about tapping new markets for us.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I wanted to maybe double click on that, just your view on this strategy to basically bring SVM as the gold standard, right, for execution across ecosystem, even beyond Solana. Part of this is to bring like two different EVM and SVM ecosystem together. And part of it is also just kind of giving the users in this new ecosystem, right, non-Solana ecosystem, the level of user experience that they can only get from the Solana ecosystem. Yeah, what do you think of that, like experiment?
Yeah, I think for example, for us, it was just like changing the RPC because since we are already following the SVM standards, we just needed to like support wallets which are native to, let's say, like the BNB ecosystem, and then change the RPC. So I think like for us, the deployment was very easy. I think it took almost just 1 or 2 days, just changing the RPC and adding the wallets. But it also like, yeah, we were having the same performance or whatever execution quality that we were getting on Solana. I would say the only difference is the liquidity, and liquidity is definitely a huge difference which separates any chain, even like Solana, to other chains. So I'd say, but apart from that, on the technical level, we got the same transaction experience just like we got in Solana, because yeah, it's following the SVM standard, and I think like that's the beauty of SVM, that you get the same execution on the technical level. Obviously, like liquidity level completely differs, but at the technical level, it's the same, that you get lower fees and all the like transactions are fast and so on.
Right. And when with the opportunity to tap into a brand new ecosystem, as you said. Yeah. So let me switch to the AI side, because I know that's what your current research focus has been, and building an actual company around it. So what are the opportunities around building AI infrastructure that you see that you're currently either researching on or working on?
Yeah, I think like when we built Solana Agent Kit last year in December, we obviously got a lot of good traction, and a lot of people were building chat apps on top of this, DeFi agents on top of that. And everyone who was experimenting agents on Solana used Solana Agent Kit in some way or the other. For example, we also released one of the first MCP servers, and it was also featured in Antropic's community list, and it was also completely open source, so that also got a good traction. A lot of people forked it, hosted it on their own, and so on. So I think what we realized was that right now a lot of these agents which people were building were very good for MVP level or experimentation level agents, but a lot of things are missing for the production level agents which can function on chain. I would say it isn't that easy to build AI agents like which are very much production ready, and even in normal AI world or day-to-day world, like we aren't using a lot of agents. But I would say the number one agent which everyone is particularly using is deep research. So that is also an agent, like behind the scenes, when you just say that, okay, give me a deep research on so and so, then it will call almost 40 tools behind the scenes. There would be like a lot of sub agents. For example, there would be a sub agent which would be working on just scraping from the web. Another sub agent would be working on just summarizing that. So then it would pass on to another sub agent. And that's the reason deep research takes almost 20-25 minutes on most of the different AI apps like ChatGPT, Claude, and so on. So I would say that's a example of an agent where it's a long running agent where there are different agents working to give you a report on a particular topic. And even like most of the image generation have a sub agent type architecture. So we realized like all the gaps which exist right now in the ecosystem. And I would say earlier a lot of people were thinking that we could build good agents with good AI agent frameworks, but we realized that that was completely wrong. And even like that was our thesis when we launched Solana Agent Kit, that we feel that all like we need to optimize a lot on the tooling layer, because at the end agent is as good as the tool it has. For example, for deep research, it's as good as whatever tools it has access to, and that tool can be summarizing, that tool can be web search, and so on. So we went back to scratchboard on like what can we improve at the tooling layer, and one is of course like giving access to maximum tools, and tools are as simple as protocols like Jupyter, and then other protocols like Orca, Radium, and so on. So any protocol is essentially a tool. And then how do you ensure that AI agent is, or basically LLMs are able to understand those tools? So those become very important, that how do we make sure that there's a proper context engineering happening. And by context engineering, I mean that every time your agent is doing an action, it should have a proper context on what's the task it has to perform, and how to confirm that the task has been performed well or not. So context engineering is something that became very popular in the last few months. So we realized that we need to do that at the tool level itself, because if we solve at the tool layer itself, we would be able to extend it to like a lot of different types of agents. So we started focusing a lot more on the tool layer. How can we orchestrate different sets of tools? How can we have a long running agents which can run for days or even months, because a lot of people would want to run on-chain agents which are able to solve a very particular problem for them. We are just like basically brainstorming and building a infrastructure which are able to solve all of this problem, and we want to make sure that the infrastructure is general purpose at the base layer, but at the same time there can be a lot of plugins and extensions on top of that. And we want to just make sure that for a developer, even like a normal person, they should be able to build an agent very fast and reliably, and anyone who wants to also add a plugin to this infrastructure is very easy for them. So yeah, like we are kind of like taking a lot of inspiration from Solana Agent Kit and kind of building a much advanced version of that, and just like engineered for the current needs.
Very interesting. And you also help organize the hackathon, right? The first AI hackathon for Solana. So yeah, I wondered like what's the timeline? So you had the AI agent SDK framework released first and then had the hackathon after that. Is that correct? Or the other way around?
So it was...
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so that was also interesting. We first started by doing Solana AI hackathon, and to be honest, that was also not planned. So I just like one day I just tweeted it out.
We were just yapping about it.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, Yash is right. We need an AI hackathon.
So I just like posted that, okay, like there's let's do a Solana AI hackathon.
And it was not even an official one by Solana at the time.
So even like I didn't have the prize money. I just like announced $100K in prizes, and I hardly had any prize commitments or anything. But since there was $100K prize, everyone thought that okay, we should also participate, and that bluffing basically bought the entire ecosystem in. Even like Solana Foundation came in later, but we had like everyone: Jupiter, Tiora, Jito, AI16Z, and like then Solana Foundation. So I think like that was an interesting time. Solana Agent Kit, like although we were building that before the Solana AI Hackathon, it was like just built. So my technical co-founder was building that as like more of a side project. So he just like hacked that in a weekend.
So the AI agent wasn't like a hackathon winner.
No.
Oh, okay,
So basically then we thought that just when the hackathon was about to end, just 2-3 days ago, we thought that why don't we just release this and see like if people want to actually build on top of this. And since we were already hosting the hackathon, we had a lot of attention. So when we launched it, it became like a instant hit. For example, the launch video got more than 1.5 million views, and everyone was like, okay, like Solana is now back in the agent race. And we were like, we didn't even intend to do that, but it became much bigger than what we thought. And even in the hackathon, more than 80 projects integrated in the last just 2 days of the hackathon. So that was pretty amazing for us that, okay, people want this. It is something that helps people to integrate agents to Solana much easier. So, yeah, that was like kind of a moment that we thought that this is where we actually want to build longer term. And while hosting the hackathon, I also developed a very deep conviction while talking to all the builders, all the sponsors, and getting the whole ecosystem to believe in AI agents. And of course, like at that time, AI agents was the meta, so it became much easier. And for me, it was very easy to get everyone in the ecosystem glued in a particular meta. But I think like, yeah, that was like kind of our eureka moment that we should just like double down on this and continue building this out.
Yeah, I have to give you also credit for being a great KOL, a great researcher and KOL, which is such a rare combo. Yeah, I mean, kudos to that go-to-market strategy. But coming back to why we're sitting here, right? We're at the Solana office, in the Solana studio. Thanks to Jake, who's behind the camera here. We are, here also because you've been invited to spend 3 months here, right, on the Solana incubator expense. And what are you building now? What are you working on for the incubator? As much as you can.
Yeah, so I think like during the last 1 year in general, personally, like I would say I evolved a lot. Earlier, I was just like, okay, like doing like random experiments in the ecosystem. So I would say like in the last 1 year, after all these experiments and just like failing, succeeding, learning, like we got to learn a lot. So, but we wanted to now like double down on a particular vision and like build $1 billion company from here on. Like just before coming to Solana Labs incubator, we were thinking that, okay, like how do we go from here on? How do we build that long-term vision? Basically, that should be $1 billion or $1 trillion vision. And during that time, Solana Labs also had this application open. And since like I've been in the Solana ecosystem for a long time, and most of my team members have been Solana native from a long time. So we thought that like let's apply for Solana Labs and see how we can refine our vision for longer term and get some mentorship and incubation from everyone at the Solana office and also like everyone from the ecosystem. So we applied for Solana Labs incubation, and obviously we got selected. I would say in the last 2 months of the incubation, we got to understand like, okay, what's a $1 billion vision, how to pitch to everyone. And I would say like we were very good at getting attention in general, and that's the reason like we have been able to get attention of a lot of people. We were weren't very good at it, having a longer term vision or having that thing that, okay, like here's how we would build $1 billion company. So that has been completely our focus. And obviously we are building in the AI agent space only, and we are committed to this only for the next 3 or 5 years at least. We are like, okay, like we'll make this thing possible. We'll be first solving all the crypto problems using AI. That is like, let's say if you want to build an agent to automate any of your tasks, you should be able to do that using our protocol plus app. And then our entire thing would be, how do we make sure that they are verifiable agents? Why verifiable agents? Like there are different layers verifiability needs to be happened. One is at the LLM level, that inputs and outputs are verifiable. That's like a very hard problem to solve right now, because there are very few smaller open source models, and how do you solve that trustlessly is something that no one has been able to figure out. I think like that's a problem which would be very important in the coming years, when like there would be like a lot of censorship happening at the LLM level, and a lot of people would also like want privacy at the LLM level. So I think like that would be a huge $1 trillion market. So that would be one problem that would be going in the, let's say, next 3 to 5 years. And another would be like, how do you ensure that you could verify that your AI agent has performed that task reliably and trustlessly? So I think that would be another huge problem which we would be targeting the next 3 to 5 years. But I think like for both of these problems, the market is currently non-existent. And none of the like AI systems or anything like use crypto right now. So I would say, but in the next 3 or 5 years, as stable coins come to everyone's life, and in general, like if the regulatory tailwind support us, then we'll see a lot of AI systems adopting crypto. And I think like then the market would be simply $1 trillion market, because every AI agent would need a wallet and they would need internet native money. And that's what exactly crypto is, that you could make it, you can make it programmable. Yeah, you can make it programmable at the base layers. Yeah, that's the whole problem statement or vision we have right now. And yeah, we are just dedicated to this for the next 3 to 5 years. And Incubator has been really helpful to just solidify that vision in the last 2 months.
Yeah, really interesting. I think maybe just to bring this into like my realm of expertise, right? So, mentioned a couple of things like before this interview too, you're building this potential like SVM network extension, right? What are the high performance or just performance in general? Like what kind of requirements are you looking at, like from a technical perspective?
Yeah, sure. So I think like one very important thing in any agentic systems is the state. For example, if you have an AI agent, you want to have would like to have be stateful. Everything like right now we have, like even when we chat in ChatGPT, whenever we do, it remembers your state that you've earlier like talked about this, and that is like all part of the persistent memory. And then there's like, okay, here's your objective, and if an AI agent needs to fulfill that objective, it always needs to have maintained that state. So I think state is something that we would want to have on chain, but to be honest, right now it's not possible, because there's a lot of like compute limits units and like a lot of transaction limits happening that you can't put everything on chain. It's very expensive to put everything on chain. So state is something I think like if the current infrastructure challenges are solved, it would be awesome to have on chain that you could verify your AI agent state. But another thing here is that you won't like to show your AI agent state to everyone in the world. You'd want to be encrypted, but at the same time, it's verifiable. So I think like that's something currently not solving any problem, like encrypted verifiable state and all of that. But I would say once AI agents are very strong economic actors, or they are handling a hugely high valuable economic task, everyone would want to have that. And so I think like that's a problem which would be very much apparent in the next 2 to 3 years, when AI agents like permeate every parts of our life. So I think that would be one thing that at the infrastructure level, it could be solved. For example, if Solana state becomes much cheaper, then that can be one thing which can happen. Or basically we just build SVM for this. And apart from that, I think on the payments level, anything like even like Solana base chains are pretty good at the payments level, stablecoin payments and all of that. So that's pretty much good. And also under all the trading and speculative use cases, I think current infra is pretty much good. And until like we scale to like lot of millions of AI agents, or not even millions, I would say like maybe billions of AI agents, then we would start facing the bottlenecks. But for now, we are good.
Right, exactly. You touch on a few things, right? The like cheaper state, Solana state, the kind of customization that you want to have on the privacy level, right? So all of this, like we're trying to solve with the high performance stack. And one thing that we're just kind of joking, but we're like literally using this podcast to catch up because we haven't seen each other for a couple months. In the past week, we actually just launched this high performance stack, right? It's a new sort of rebranding. So high performance and service. So yeah, we'd love to kind of like chat with you a little bit more on getting those type of, execution SDK, right? Implemented in your AI protocol. But yeah, maybe coming back. So on the AI front, right? So I think you mentioned the word meta. This is something that, as we've been in crypto for a while, like we have to be customized to, what's currently hot, right? So how do you feel about, bringing this AI meta back? Because currently I think the meta is about trading, about perps.
Yeah, I think in general, I would say the last AI meta was pretty much overblown. And as someone like who also catalyzed that, I would say like,
reason.
Yeah.
It was very hot for a while.
so yeah, as someone who contributed the Solana side of things, I would say like it was pretty much overblown. That time, like I would say like I was also a bit delusional. I was like, okay, like it's rational. Looking back, I would say we had a fair share of learnings and that like we didn't have like anything which worked in general, but everyone was being happy at the MVP level experiments that AI agents would change the world and so on. And this is not even like crypto specific, I would say. In 2024, everyone told that 2025 would be the year of AI agents. And there's a famous Sam Altman quote as well that 2025 would be the year of agents. And 3-4 days ago, Andrew Karpathy, who was also like ex-OpenAI, and he's like one of the most popular AI figures right now.
Right.
And he told that this is not a year of AI agents, this is a decade of AI agents, that we won't see any good AI agents until 2026. So I think like in the last few months, in general, our whole industry and us also personally saw that we learned that like we need to be patient in this. There would be like a lot of like hype cycles which would keep coming up, but it's all about that, okay, like if we are focused for a longer term that we want to make this thing successful, then we would be able to do. And first, the thing is that we just want to see financial agents in action. We don't want to solve at the LM level or anything. We just want to see that AI agents would need money, and when they need money, they should be able to transact freely. And there's a very compatible agentic systems can support all the stable coins and so on. So that's our entire vision as well, that how do we build financial agents which has like guardrails at the wallet level, that there's a spending limit which it can spend only this much amount, and then there's like a lot of optimization done at the tooling and the context level. So I think like there's a lot of layers where you would need to optimize to make it work. It's very simple to say that, okay, like AI agent would have a wallet and it can send a payment, but if you wanted to do complex action, which is where the value lies, like no one would want to use an AI agent to send money to anyone. You can just like click a button and do it. But if you want to make any complex actions, you need to optimize at a long like lot of level, and particularly in crypto, I think it's all about solving a distributed systems problem as well. So I think it's all about building for that. But I think in general about the meta, like my hunch is that it would come back in 2026, and we just
Andrew,
Andrew Karpathy. Like in particular in crypto, I would say in AI agents are still the meta. That's not nothing a doubt. But on crypto, I would say like people generally have a very short-term memory, and people like to have metas very short but very high volatile. For example, if there's a perps meta, like everyone was like one minute everyone was talking about perps, but now no one is talking about perps. So I think in general, everyone has a thing where they like to blow up things, but it has a very smaller time. So I would say like it's like if the meta is like very violent, then it would also last shorter. That's the thing. I would say it would again come back in 2026, and when it comes back, it might be even bigger than the last meta. Because by that time,
lot of a slow burn. Right?
I think like last time, like there were very fewer teams, and I would say by fewer teams, like very fewer quality teams. Right. But by this time, since a lot of quality teams are entering now, and a lot of people have learned their own things, so I would say it would be a much bigger meta. And I always say that like last AI meta was like kind of a .com crash, that it definitely burned a lot of people, but it also created like a lot of good big internet companies. So similarly, last AI meta also burned a lot of people, but it also gave birth to like a lot of good AI and crypto companies. And I would say the next meta would be like the same like internet curve, where a lot of good internet companies would be built in the next decade. So I would say in crypto, decades are years, so a lot of good AI companies in crypto would be built in the next 1 or 2 years, and then we'll have a full-blown meta in 2026.
Do you feel that the next meta will come from one of these Web2 AI companies trying to get into crypto, or will come from like a crypto native, Web3 company?
I think we kind of saw a glimpse in the last few weeks. For example, Cloudflare, which is a very big company, like I think they are $65-70 billion company. They partner with Coinbase to launch X04 Foundation. And X402 is a simple payments protocol where you can charge per API request. So I think that was a moment where we could see that even the normal AI companies are interested in crypto. They didn't say crypto anywhere, but they are also launching a stable coin. But they didn't say which chain they would be launching on. So I would say they're still very skeptical, the AI companies, but as they would obviously want to also enter the financial layer, because finance in general is always the biggest industry of all the industry which exist. So they would also want to permeate the financial layer. I would say ChatGPT would have already started work on how they could solve trading or financial reports and so on. For example, Perplexity, Claude, everyone has a financial research team which focuses on how can LM solve the financial reporting and so on. So I would say a lot of people would be automatically interested in crypto. Even I remember like few months ago, I just like asked Arvind Srinivas, who was like the CEO of Perplexity, that when Perplexity crypto, and he quoted me and said soon. And that was like basically a lot of people started speculating that are you partnering with Perplexity or anything, but obviously that wasn't the case. But I would say a lot of people are definitely interested. Maybe. So definitely a lot of people are interested in crypto, but they are still skeptical. I think if any of these big companies enter crypto, or not even enter crypto, but adopt crypto via something like even Stripe, I would say Stripe, Tempo, or all of this, it would be a huge win, and that can also like start the new meta, because if bigger companies are interested, then all the smaller players definitely become much more interested, and obviously capital flows there. So I would say that would be the most entertaining outcome to happen in 2026.
It's always the bigger company that legitimize, right? The meta. Okay, I have one last question, which I usually ask all my interviewees at the end of the interview. So we wanted to chat about one spicy take, one non-consensus view that you have about the industry. Could be about any subject.
Yeah.
You've given a few, but...
I think I don't have a very specific controversial take or something like which I would say like is the most controversial take. But in general, I would say like there's a treat altcoin as a very third class citizen in the entire crypto industry, and I think like that needs to be changed. For example, in the current internet capital markets meta, everyone wants that meta to happen, but no one is caring about like how do you actually treat tokens as equity, and how do you like relate them well and so on. So I'd say, and that's the reason like they are called altcoin and not just tokens. So I think we need to change that, and every token is valuable if people treat it with value. So I think like that's one thing that even like we also learned that like we also didn't used to treat our token with a lot of respect. So I think like that's something that I also learned personally, and I think like, and as an industry, like it's very important to do that, so that like we should be able to also attract, let's say tomorrow, AI labs or AI companies to also launch tokens in crypto, because I think like that's the most important feature of crypto, like launching tokens and ability to bootstrap capital. And in future, I would want that AI agents become such economic actors where they're able to build a company and bootstrap capital using internet capital markets. And I think that would be one of the most entertaining outcomes, where AI agents are acting as economic actors, and then they have a multi-sig where they are raising capital for it, and then there's like bunch of AI agents which are basically coordinating among themselves and all of that. So I think like that's the future that we all not want, but that would be the most entertaining outcome, I would say, that they are doing. So I would say in general, we need to make sure that we are building a very good internet capital markets before such things happen, so that in general, crypto becomes the thing where everyone raises capital or uses it as a financial layer for the capital markets in general.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to check in with you. We have to do this again very soon.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Yash.